Hello, hello, hello. We are back tonight, right now, 7 o'clock. We have got Leeds United legend Ian Harte, who's going to join me tonight. Can't wait for this one. Played at the World Cup, Leeds United legend, played in La Liga. Excellent for the kids to listen to. Free kick specialist, 460 appearances. So really looking forward to this one. So just logged on, looking at everyone now, saying hi. Thanks for joining us. A lot of Leeds fans. So we'll give it a minute or so. So start thinking about your questions as well. Here we go, here's Harty now.
How are you, Paul? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, mate.
Right, all good. We're just having we won't tell everyone what we were debating about on the phone then, but just about the EFL. But no, it's good to see you, mate. Are you well?
Yeah, very good. Yourself? In these crazy...
Yeah, very crazy.
Easy at the minute. I'll just give you a bit of background like I do with everyone as they're just joining us. The reason why we ask top professionals like yourself to come on is because we want, certainly for young kids, coaches, parents, I think it's a great time to reflect upon, right, how do I get to the levels that these players have got to? And for me, you're somebody, certainly even when I was in the game, somebody I looked at who I thought has had an incredible career. We've shared same clubs, but never been at the same club. So it's an interesting journey, all one. So where we always start is your academy to pro journey.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a great insight for people. If you can just give us an insight into your grassroots, then, on your journey over to Leeds.
Yeah, well, I actually played a team in Dublin called Evans. And everyone back in Ireland or the press, they always used to say it was home farm that I played for, but it wasn't. It was St. Kevin's Boys that was in Whitehall, Church. At the age of 15, Paul Hart was the academy manager. He came across to me. Then I decided to go over on trial. There was quite a few Irish lads at that time, and thankfully after a week, Leeds United asked me. Yeah, for a minute.
Yeah.
Leeds asked you over for a trial.
Yeah, Leeds asked me over for a trial, so I was over for a week, and thankfully they asked me to sign, and it was also very special to have Uncle Gaz that was there. He was already in the first team, and for a lad moving over at the age of 15 to a different country, it was very. I was homesick, but it was very good having Gaz Kelly there, because he helped me massively.
Yeah.
So you get over there, and like you say, I think people think you get into the first team at Leeds and or any team, and it's easy pickings. I'm there, I'm making money and playing in front of thousands, but mentally, did it affect you at all, or did you not think about it? What was that journey like? Because you had to build up that mentality as well.
Yeah, it's difficult because when you're moving away and you're moving from mum and dad and family and friends over to a different country, it's very, very difficult. But there's many a times that I had cried myself to sleep. It's really, really difficult when you think about it. Any young kid now that's 15, all of a sudden you have to move to a different country. But if you want to make it in the game, if you want to play at the highest level, there's certain sacrifice you have to do, and of course you need a lot along the way as well. But the striker, I think Gaz Kelly started off as a striker as well and ended up further back.
Yeah.
But, I played at left wing, centre midfield, centre half, and ended up going at left back. So I enjoyed it. Always had blistering pace.
So obviously having Gary Kelly there as well, would you lean on him quite a bit in terms of, or was it kind of that old school mentality where you need to kind of get on with it yourself? I mean, we're big in football now. It's okay to talk, and I believe people don't talk enough, certainly in the past. But Is it something you would do if you were homesick, or even about your game? You know, you might have wanted a few tips and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's when we had broke through. You know, it's all about looking after yourself. You know what I mean? Nowadays, kids don't have to do, especially YTS. They don't have to do all the jobs, the nasty jobs that kind of makes you appreciate you become a pro. You know, cleaning toilets, cleaning balls. You know, doing all the kit for the force team. But young lads don't have to do that now, and I think they're in good stead. You know what I mean? For all the lads that kind of came through the academy at the time. You know, there's loads of Irish lads, but Andy Gray, Paul Shepherd as well. There's some talented players, and you know, they will always produce and always have produced young lads coming through.
Yeah.
Do you feel then, certainly your grounding at Leeds, you know, gave you the ability to go on and make a career in football? Because like you've just mentioned there, I mean, you talk about some of the kids coming through some of these academies now, and even before they've kicked a first team ball, they've probably earned more money than potentially, you know, some players will earn in their careers.
Some of them will be, well, you look at probably Manchester City. There's many young lads that are probably in the academy set up there will be on more than what championship players are on. And they've not even kicked the ball in the force team. Now, and that's the way it's gone.
Toilet. Or cleaned a toilet.
But yeah, that's it. Or clean the toilet or clean the ball. You know what I mean? The more kids nowadays are more bothered about Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter. That's all the you know, whether they're buying Louboutins, Balenciagas, putting stuff on the social media, and yeah, it's just trying to get them off that. Solely focus on the football game and let the football do the talking.
So,
academy at Leeds, what can you remember back then? Your drive, your determination, the thoughts that were going in. I mean, I was always big on kind of football imagery when I went to bed at night, thinking about the game the next day, or how can I make sure that I'm going to be a professional or keep my place in a team? What was your, you know, coming through the academy at that point? What was your mindset?
Discipline that we had. This Eddie Gray that was there and Paul Harte. I know you spoke to Jacko last week, but I came through the academy with Jacko and some talented players. And yeah, if we put a foot out of line, Paul and Eddie were straight down on us. You know what I mean? It's all about, and young kids nowadays, you know what I mean? They don't say please, thank you. There's not many of them that do. And, you know, that was the kind of true values that having them as our coaches, our mentors, kind of helped us along. You know, we're only young lads, we're learning, we're going to make mistakes, but you know, whether you learn from them mistakes.
But on their discipline was massive, and I think, you know, we're not saying kids are ill-disciplined nowadays. I think what we're saying is it a little bit too easy? Because, you know, again, your journey, you're not just trying to get in the first team, you know, and just make one appearance. You want to, I mean, you went on to make over 450 appearances. Professionally, I think that was not including your country appearances, but you know, kids nowadays need to realise the mentality side as well, don't they? Which is huge, and I keep harping on about it. How did you build that up? Because you weren't going into just a normal club when you got in the first team. It's a huge club.
No, Leeds was one of, if not the top clubs in England at the time when I joined. Howard Wilkinson, as you say, Paul and Eddie were the kind of academy managers, and yeah, it was difficult. So many lads that had come from Ireland. I think there was Nicky Bourne that had come across as well, and you know, I'm sure Nicky would love to have made it a football, but in all honesty, you ask many footballers, I think they would love to be in a boy band as well. So you know, I think it was a bit disappointed it didn't work out at Leeds United, but he's not having a bad career at the moment with Westlife.
Yeah, I mean that one where you go to, so you make your first appearance. What are your thoughts then? You know, how do you work towards making sure that you stay in that team? Tell us about your first appearance as well. That'd be really interesting.
Reading in a cup game, and believe it or not, I came on as a striker. I got slid in, and it was like I was running through treacle. It's just the nerves. You know what it's like when
yeah.
you're trying to make an impression. It's so difficult to trying to get up to the tempo of the game. But yeah, what an achievement for me and for my family. It was pretty amazing. And then, over time, I think David Robertson, Tony DeRico's there, and then David Robertson came in. He got injured, and I think it was over the following season that I played at left back, and it was away at Derby. And my score on my kind of debut of that season came in on the right, had a crack, and it went in the back of the goal. So it's moments like that you'll never ever forget.
Yeah.
So, in terms of your free kicks, there's a couple of people asking. We'll move on to that in a bit. We'll talk about your free kicks. But if anyone's got any questions regarding his journey, kind of academy to pro at the minute, we'll take a couple of questions on that side of it, and then we'll keep moving through the evening as we can. But, again, this is a big part for me. I like asking, FA Youth Cup at the time, did that mean the world to you when you were playing?
Well, for any young lads, because we used to play our games at Ellen Road, where it's now a car park. There used to be 2 pitches. The first team used one, and we used the other. Where now you look at academies, there's 17 pitches, or you look at the facilities of it. Lads, they're spoiled nowadays compared to when we used to have court cases. You used to have to run around the fields. I'm sure Jacko, you've experienced it, and they're things that make you appreciate and push you on. But nowadays, with young kids, they feel like they're owed something. The parents on the side of the pitch are talking, and the son's up saying, "Oh, he's going to be this." Let him go out. Don't put pressure on him. Let him go out and produce it. That's why they've got experienced coaches, whether it's at men's level all the way up to under 18s, where you've got Jacko, and you step up to 23s. You have know the game that are going to advise and help them. You don't need people outside, parents, fair enough, having a chat in the car on the way home, but that's what the coaches are there for, to coach them, to try and develop them on a pathway to try and force him.
Great stuff. So out of your academy team, who would you say out of them you thought flipping it, they've gone on and done really, really well? I know you had a great career yourself, but who would you think, that they've done excellent there?
Well, there was 3 players that were unbelievable. Andy Gray was unbelievable coming through the U team. He broke in, played in the cup final for Leeds, and then you had Jason Blunt, who was centre midfield, and you had Paul Wharton as well. They were unbelievable players, honestly. Very, very talented all day, great ability on the ball, but unfortunately, Blunty and Paul, they didn't, push on the way that everyone had probably hoped. So Andy had broke into the force, and it's you do need luck as well. It's all about timing. Opportunity, whether someone gets injured, you have to hit the ground running. You've got to take your opportunity, and thankfully, I did when I did get my chance.
Yeah. Here's a good question
here. Whose boots did you clean? And if they weren't done right, were there any consequences?
I used Andy Cousins' boots. And Andy did used to moan a bit, I must be honest. But I really liked Andy, great lad. And he's actually walking down at Ellen Road at the moment. So any games I do go down and see him, and he's a top.
Christmas bonus. Used to live for the Christmas bonus.
Well,
cleaning his boots.
Wasn't really. I think most of the lads that were kind of coming through at that time, I think certain lads got 50 quid. Other lads, you know what I mean, whether it was Gary Mack, or Speedo, they got a pair of Asics boots. You know what I mean. But times now where they're getting hundreds of pounds bonus off all force team lads. So it's for us it wasn't. We were on 30 quid a week YTS. So any sort of money would massively help. But it was just to be around the force team as well and listen and up the way that they conducted themselves is what we to look on.
Did the first team lads at that time give you any great advice that sticks with you?
Not really, no. I think at that time especially the force teams lads, they kind of just solely focus on the game, the next game that's coming. But yeah, it was a group of young lads that were coming through the academy when I was coming through. Jonathan Woodgate, Paul Robinson, Harry Kuehl. So now we had a great team spirit, especially having a Ian Harte. You know what I mean? He was strict, he was firm, but very rewarding. You did your stuff on the pitch.
Yeah.
So this is from Somerset 72. Who is your hero in football growing up, or who was your hero?
My hero was Ian Rush. When I was a young lad back in Ireland, Liverpool was my team, and even when Rushy went to Juventus.
I wouldn't have got it.
It's on here if I knew you were a Liverpool fan. This is ridiculous. I can't believe.
Well, I don't really support anyone now, but Liverpool was my. And for any young lad nowadays, whether they support or follow football, they would look at their idols, probably Messi or Ronaldo. So Ian. So eventually, I got to play with my hero because he came to Leeds United before he finished. I sat in the dressing room.
Oh,
did, yeah.
I was very, and what a top bloke he was as well.
My hero was Andy Cole.
Yeah, Coley's a great. I speak to Coley quite a bit, I must be honest. Yeah. Good guy.
He was one of my heroes, definitely. Here's a good question then, Mick Long. Why do you feel you cope better than others with the step up from the youth team to the senior football?
Well, probably having to, in a selfish kind of way, probably because when you're moving away at 15, it's all about discipline, appreciating what you're getting. You know what I mean? I couldn't even come home with an evening time and talk to mum or dad. There was it was like a mother and father figure that I had in Diggs, which was Trevor and Kat Parkinson. They looked after many years, and sadly they passed away. But they were like my mum and dad away from home, and I just think that I was determined to come across. I love football. Every young lad loves football, but you have to have something. You know, the will to win. You have to go out there and win every single day, train like you're going to perform, and just hard work. You know what I mean? You earn the right to try and get in the team as well.
Tough. Right, so let's move it on then to the pro section, which lots of great stories, I've no doubt. But I think where we'll start with this, you've got into the first team, couple of seasons have gone by, and obviously you start. I mean, is it something from the academy side in terms of taking free kicks that you used to do a lot, or is it something that you started to work on more and more as you got into that first team?
Yeah, probably more and more that you get into the first team. Just you would normally practice after training, so when everyone's kind of going off the pitch, 3 or 4 of the lads would stay out. Some of them couldn't hit a free kick, but they thought they could. So it was just just going out there and trying to visualise. That's when you're always still trying to perfect it, but when night before games, I always used to visualise before I go to sleep. Right, this is what's going to happen. If I get a free kick at the end of the box tomorrow, it's like the dot on a motorway, you know, the lines on the road. I used to picture it going across the wall into a top corner, and it's always about hitting the target. So over time, you walk yourself of hitting the target, and then as you're getting better at it, you can kind of increase the speed to try and get it up and down.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, that's a great insight there, because I mean, you got a lot of free kicks in your time. I think you scored against Man U as well, didn't you, with one of your free kicks?
I did, yeah. Stepped a bit to the right and go back together.
That sort of space, Fabian, because I'll put it in. Yeah, so visualization, I mean, again, I know, I mentioned that before. You hear a lot of the top players talking about it, not just in football, in tennis, in other sports as well. That side of the game, do you think as you got more into the first team, when you look back now, do you think, actually, is that something I could have worked a little bit more on to possibly get more out of myself? Because I think it's a big part of football, visualising, certainly when you've got a bit of downtime, on how you can improve, but also the night before a game, how you can implement it into a game.
Yeah, I just think with you look at what there is, you know what I mean. There's top medical doctors, sports scientists that are in academies nowadays. So they weren't really around when we had broke through. So I think we had that advice back when we were coming through. I think you could have potentially played on to, you know, higher level, or you could have pushed on. You know what I mean. But I think it's just discipline as well. You know what I mean. It's we'll always use excuses. You know, you might be tight. There's not one player, no matter what game you play in, where you're going to be 100% in a game. So it's mentally, you think, right, okay, I'm going to go out and do it for the team. Individual within the team, but you have to play as a team.
Question here from Lee Anderson. Do you think George Graham taking over when he did helped you out? I'm assuming he means getting into the team.
Yeah, George was absolutely brilliant. You look at the Arsenal team that he had; it was all about defence. Get the back four as if it was like an elastic band. So whether it was Gaz Kelly would push out, the centre halves would shuffle across, I'd tuck in. If I stayed out too far, it's meaning like the elastic band's going to smack you in the face, and it's kind of trying to get that thing walking as a tight defence. And definitely George Graham was very, very good for me. Yeah.
So we move on then, because this is some of the stuff I'm really interested in. Playing Champions League football. What's that like?
It's all right. No, I must be honest. It was amazing, absolutely amazing. For every young lad watching it, you know, when the football is back on, you know, watching football, it's incredible. But to go out there and actually achieve it and play for the team that you love playing for in a packed house, Elland Road. Some of them, you know, midweek games were very, very special, and I think it's very important. It's always about team. I think we were very, very lucky with the team that we had, with the coaches we had, with Eddie Gray and Dave O'Leary. Very, very fortunate. We had top players like Olivier Dacour for us young lads, you know, to kind of learn off him, you know, for his experience. Help us on the pitch, and no matter who we played, we didn't fear anybody, whether we were playing Real Madrid, Barcelona. It was going out there and making sure that they knew they were in a game.
It was a fantastic
season you had that year. I know you just kind of missed out on that, but I don't think you will have had any fear. But was there a little bit of doubt in your minds at the time, or was it just? I often think when you get to latter stages in competitions anyway, you talked about luck before, and a lot of it is luck as well. You know, but did that play a factor, or did you sense a bit of not too sure we'll get through here?
I must be honest, the quarterfinals against Deportivo, now they were flying at that time in Spain, but we knew that we could go out there and beat anyone, and luckily enough, it was probably my most favourite game. Full Elland Road, got a free kick on the edge of the box and managed and smack it in, you know, outside the crossbar, and then assisting the other two goals. So that was probably the I've ever been involved in. I would probably say fear. Probably thinking about it a bit too much. I'd say the semi Valencia. I think we knew that we had to get something at home. The game finished now. They had a top team as well, and
they had an amazing
team. They had an unreal team at the time.
And just to go away to Valencia, it's always difficult. The fourth game in every game, you know, can change it. And the fourth goal, I don't think it should have been allowed, because I think his name was Sanchez. He flicked the ball by Nigel Martin with his hand, and that changed the game. And then we're chasing the game and eventually got beat. Got beat by a very, very top team. Probably it was a bit too far for some. Who knows? But it's about learning from them experiences, and it was incredible.
Here's a good question. Who was the player you hated playing against and gave you the hardest game?
Well, I would probably say, because I had so much pain, probably Karl Pavoski. Manchester, because he was.
Hair used to flick you in the eyes when he ran past.
But he was very, very quick. He was direct. He just went for a kill every time. An out and out, old school kind of winger. Get it, head down to the byline. Played against some fantastic wingers, whether it was Bex, Luis Figo as well. I played against him, against and the Republic of Ireland. But probably Pravorsky, because one game in particular I played against Manchester United. He was very, very good in that game. Close to him.
You just mentioned Republic of Ireland as well. So not only do you make your debut for Leeds United in the first team, but you get called up for your country. What's that feeling like?
Yeah, it was brilliant. Well, Mick McCarthy was the manager at the time. Yeah. At that time as well, I was probably playing more games for Ireland than I was for Leeds. And I played a few games as centre half. Played against Argentina. I think we got beat 2-0, and I was marking Gabriele Batistuta. Now, what a player he was! Absolutely incredible. So
you wanted to be him up front, like your first game for Leeds.
I did, but that was, it's about learning. You're up against one of the top strikers physically. His touch, his movement, and it's about going to make mistakes, especially when I'm playing centre half. I'd not played many games at centre half, and it's about learning from, But good experience, and I'd say Mick was probably one of, if not the best manager that I've ever done.
That's what I was going to move on to, because obviously I worked with Mick for a couple of years, and he was by far my best manager I worked with. You said at the time you were playing more games for Ireland than you were for Leeds. What confidence does that give you that he's saying, don't care if you've not been playing, you're playing for us?
Well, as being an ex-footballer as well, it's so good when a manager believes in you and you go onto that pitch and having the belief, the trust, knowing that you're going to make mistakes. Don't worry about it, but keep doing it. Keep doing it. Yeah. Like Jurgen Klopp or Pep, you know what I mean? They work and they'll praise the lads, but they want them to play the game in the right way. And of course, I made mistakes, but Mick was like, "Don't worry about it. It's fine. Keep getting on the ball. Keep being positive." And I absolutely love playing for him.
Yeah, I remember a story at the time as well. I think it was Trapattoni didn't realise that you were Irish, which was absolutely embarrassing at the time, because the amount of history you've got for playing for your country. You played in the World Cup for your country. You had some fantastic times with him. I'm kind of getting onto the highs and lows. I'm not saying this is a low time for you, but how do you deal with the kind of press with things like that at that point?
No, but in the player's career, there are highs and lows, and that was definitely but you either sulk about it or you get on. And at that time, I was at Reading, and I was playing some of the best football my playing career, scoring goals. I was getting assists. I think I'd left Carlisle and went to Reading for 70 grand. And
incredible, really.
Every years I was in teams where you fell on both of you. So it was disappointing. It was only that Shane Long had been called up to the Irish team and back and said he'd spoke to the manager. He'd no idea that I was Irish. But hey, that's the way it goes. So there's no point sulking about it.
Two different managers there at Republic of Ireland. One that's believes in somebody that's not playing week in, week out at the club, and the other who, when he's flying for his club, isn't willing to do his own work and actually, see what's out there and what's available. So that's an interesting one, that really.
It's always difficult for a manager. You cannot please every single player. Of course, it would have been you are as Irish, but he didn't. But hey, we make mistakes and we all learn from them. Yeah.
So moving it on then, you've done something that I would have loved to have done in my career, playing La Liga. What was that like?
Oh, that was incredible. I was actually in Spain at the time. I had a villa down in Marbella, Porto-Banús, and the agent was actually out there at the time. And he just said to me, he says, "How would you like to play in Spain next season?" I went, "I'd love it." And at that time, I never wanted to leave Leeds United, but I come back from pre-season, and the manager, Blackwell, and Kevin had said to me, he says, "Ian, if you stay here, you're going to be third choice. You're not going to play any games. It's going to kill your international career." So Of course, I was gutted. I was devastated that that was going to happen. But he said, well, you either stay here. Sorry, the dog's going mad in the background.
We like the fact that you've left Leeds, that's why. Must be a Leeds fan.
I know. The daughter's actually trying to catch him.
She's not that quick then.
I know. But yeah, of course, it's. I've even lost track of the question that you said. Sorry.
Moved to La Liga, so you'd left Leeds. Blackwell had said you were going to be third choice, and your agent.
Trying to come back, and I had a chat with my family, and they just says, right, okay. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to move. At that time, Leeds were trying to clear quite a few of the players out because of the financial disaster that they were in, and yeah, I went out to Spain. I met the president, saw the club, and luckily enough, I was the first one to score for Levante in La Liga's first game.
I remember it. I remember watching it on Sky Sports.
Yeah.
So Driglington Juniors have just done Kevin Blackwell hand over the face emoji. So I think he was a popular character.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've moved from, in my opinion, obviously Leeds is still a huge club at the time as well, even though they'd gone down. I mean, where you've moved to Levante, and what sort of club was that at that stage? I know they weren't the biggest club in Spain, and they probably never will be. But how was that?
No, I'd say it was amazing. The coaches, Ben Schuster was our manager, who then on and went to Real Madrid. So he was really top guy, German guy, fluent in many languages.
Madrid, were you waiting for that call?
But for most of the lads, unless you go to Barcelona or Real Madrid, they're the games that are televised every single week.
Yeah.
Of course, but I was out there. I loved it. Johan Mjällby was there. There was many players that came. Laurent Robert came the following season. Yeah. So it was a really good team in Valencia on the coast, waking up every morning. The sun's out. Yeah. It was good, but yeah, of course, I was devastated that I had to leave Leeds United.
Did you have kids at the time, or was it just? Yeah. So how did you, again? Now you're trying to adapt, but you've got kids. Do you think your early stages moving to Leeds as a kid helped you deal with that better, or was it kind of water? I know what it's like as a player. We're all right because we're going training, but it's how your family's reacting when you're not there.
Well, it was difficult. Probably the first few months I was out there on my own to kind of settle in. All the lads were brilliant. I couldn't speak a word of it. So many days we'd go out for a coffee, a bit of food afterwards, a good few of the lads, and trying to learn. I think that's vitally important, that you chuck yourself in the deep end, learn the language. And eventually then my wife came out. But it's simple things like trying to get milk for the baby or nappies, It's a big challenge, but we absolutely loved it. We were there for 3 years, and gutted that we had to come back. But player's career, you have to move around.
Yeah. Here's a good question from Matthew Greenwood. Who is the most underrated player you've ever played with during your career?
With?
Yeah.
Let me try and think. Well, do you know what about Jason Blunt? Jason Blunt, when I was coming through, he was incredible. But I don't know, for whatever reason, whether it was injury or not getting the opportunities, but he really, really talented. Both feet, you know what I mean? He could ping centre. He was very, very good.
Yeah. Right. Interesting. I'm not asking that question. Who is the greatest of all time? I think it's Maradona. It's irrelevant, I think.
Well, people will always say it's between Messi and Ronaldo, but I actually think, with him being a lefty as well, I think Messi. Yeah. I think when he doesn't, Barcelona don't play. Yeah.
Watching Ronaldo's thing on demand on Sky Sports, that's a good watch. I mean, he's just
a machine.
And just lives and breathes the game in a way that you think probably wasn't possible, in my opinion. Carl Butler, here's a good question. I think I might know the answer to this. I might be wrong, but who was the funniest player you played with? Or he might have been one of the funniest.
Gary Kelly by a country mile. Oh, he was nuts. I remember at the time we were flying when there was Rio Ferdinand and all the players actually up at Thorpe Arch, and Nicky Bourne had come back to see us. So we used to do the Westlife concerts when they come and flying without wings, and we'd go parties with all the wives of the girlfriends, and Nicky actually come up with all designer leathers on, and Kel was saying, "Oh, do you want to come out and have a kick around?" And Nicky was like, "Yeah, definitely." She said, "Okay, I'll get the balls. Why don't you go out on the pitch? I'll be out in a minute." So sure enough, Nicky comes out. It's been raining, all the grass and everything, and Kells comes out in all his leathers and sliding in his knees. But some stuff that Kells had done is he's bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Any lads that you speak to at Leeds United will say, yeah, he's serving of Leeds United as
well. Taking it back then, I thought you might have said Michael Bridges, because Bridges is a bit of a nutter as well.
Yeah, he is, but I think if you ask Michael Bridges, he will definitely say Gary Kelly as well.
Yeah. Do you ever hear from Bridges? Because I know he's in Australia now, isn't he?
Yeah, I speak to him quite a bit, yeah.
Yeah,
he's doing quite well at it, yeah.
Yeah, he tell us all the stories from Leeds, the seasons he was there.
Yeah.
So
we in the gym.
Yeah. Would you ever consider going into coaching yourself, or do you prefer the job within football? Which, if you want to tell people what you currently do now, you can do. Good question, Matt Wainwright.
Yeah, no, I think it's long hours coaching, and I appreciate all the hard work that the coaches do out there, but it's never something that I've been looking at doing. So probably 5 years before I retired, I was down at Reading, and then went from Reading to Bournemouth. I was always planning on the day I did retire that I was looking at getting into the football agency, and I'm enjoying doing that at the moment. There's majority of the players that have the young lads, probably 16, 17 years of age, and kind of advise them. So there's so many pitfalls for young players, and try and advise them and help them, guide them throughout their long, successful career.
So, what advice then, from Dan B06, he said, what advice would you give to a young player currently in an academy?
Yeah, hard work every single day. Every day you go on the training pitch, whether it's coaches talking to you, trying to give you advice, do not answer them back. Listen, say, yeah, okay. Why? Because you're listening, you want to learn, you want to get better. And unfortunately, there's too many young kids nowadays that answer back. Always have to say, and coaches don't want to hear that. They end up just thinking, well, I'm wasting my time with you. You're not going to listen, so I'm going to focus. So listen, take the information on.
Yeah. Good question. I mean, I've gone off track a little bit from the Champions League and the Liga and that, but there's a couple of decent questions coming in. Daniel Dewick said, do you feel younger children should be playing in a competitive league? I don't know how younger he means, but, take that as you want, from under sevens upwards.
No, I think he's probably thinking of in academies, if they got the opportunity probably to go out and play men's football, whether it's National League or League One, League Two, I definitely agree. But it's all about timing as well, you know what I mean? That an academy or a club will not want to send a young lad out where he's going to get kicked lumps out of. Now, that sometimes that's good for you as well, but make sure that I've got to be glancing over my shoulder, I've got to make sure that I'm on the half tone, because if not, this guy's going to give me lumps or whatever. So you've got to be kind of looking. I think it is good for those lads, probably at around about 18, 19, I think you should be looking at getting out and playing some football to then come back to the full team to try and affect and try and get into the first team.
Yeah, certainly. I feel that it's a big part of learning the game is playing first team football at any level, really. So I think that's great advice for everyone there to take on board. So you came back then from the league. You went to, was it Carlisle you went to after?
I came back.
No, Sunderland. Sorry, yeah.
I was at Sunderland for a year by Keane, and then went from there to Blackpool for 6 weeks with Simon Grayson.
Yeah.
and then went from there to Carlisle. So yeah, I didn't play too much.
I was saying to you the other day, it's because they're Sunderland, Blackpool, Carlisle, 3 clubs we both played for. I think we only had 2 managers the same, Roy Keane and Simon Grace. No, it would have been 3. Greg Abbott would have been your manager as well.
Yeah. Sunderland, what a fantastic club, great fan base. It's just sad with what's going on at the moment. Then I went to Blackpool. It was kind of, I'd only been in the door and Simon had left and gone. I think he'd gone to Leeds United, so it must have been something I'd said. Then went to Carlisle, who was actually where I live in Wynyard. Graham Cabinet actually lives across the road, so I was actually running around Wynyard, and his wife looked at the window and says, "Why don't you ask Harte to go up to Carlisle?" He said, "But I can't trial." So he said to me, he says, "Greg wanted me to come up to look at signing, but only when I'd signed." He says, "Harte," he says, "you were coming up on trial." He says, "If I had told you, would have told me to do one." So thankfully it was Graham's wife that had kind of mentioned to him. Absolutely, I loved it up at Carlisle. I scored 19 goals. Left back, I've scored 19 goals in one season at Reading.
I mean, that's just another side of the game as well, though, isn't it? You never know what's going to happen in your career in terms of, you're playing Champions League football, you're playing in the Nou Camp or the Bernabeu, and then a couple of seasons not playing through probably no fault of your own, just sometimes your face doesn't fit or look or what have you. How important is it to play week in, week out?
Oh, vitally important. I'd gone out to Spain, and you'd probably become a lost man out there. No one gets to see you. You've did 3 years, so no matter what you've done throughout your playing career, whether you've played in the World Cup or semi-finals of the Champions League, it means nothing nowadays. You've got to earn the right. And went to Sunderland. I done well in training. They signed me. Unfortunately, I didn't play too many games, but I loved my time there. And I just think you just got to always go out there and try and prove day in, day out that you're good enough, and you've got to believe in yourself as well. And thankfully enough, Brian McDermott was the Reading manager at the time. He signed me on deadline day and went there for 3 years, got promoted into the Premier League, and it was pretty incredible because I was into my 30s then.
Again, that's a story for me as well. What is very intriguing, because you've had it is. I mean, I went over to the MLS and played for Toronto and came back, and you're almost like a ghost to some people, because you've not been in the country and not been in people's heart, in their eyes, have you? So for you there, you have probably had to take a bit of a step back, really, and go, well, I love football, I want to play. Doesn't matter what level I'm going to play at, I'm going to play it, and I'm going to be the best I can be. And thankfully, you end up back in the Premier League and, still scoring free kicks left, right and centre.
Yeah, it was. I'd say I really enjoyed. I enjoyed my time at Carlisle, because you had Graham Cabinet, who was assistant manager. I know Greg from the time that when he was at Leeds. You had Paul Terwell that was there as well. So it was a great group of lads within the team. We all got on well. The owners, they were brilliant. But of course, it's only a small. I think you've got to believe in your qualities. There on every game, whether it's a Tuesday or a Saturday, to try and keep improving and hoping. You're needing that luck as well, that a manager looks and thinks that you still got it and you can do a job for him, and thankfully Brian McDermott did.
How long would you practice free kicks on a normal day?
I wouldn't do it every day. It's only probably once, twice a week I would probably do it, and probably the time of practice, and probably around about 20 minutes, half an hour. Yeah.
Which years in your football journey were the hardest to adapt to? Good question.
Probably the first year I came across to Leeds, age 15. It was a big step, a big change, moving away from home, being homesick. That was the most difficult, I think.
Lee Anderson, was there ever an option to come back to Leeds?
There was possibly a chance of me going back with Gary Mack, but they had at that time 3 left backs, so they had to get 1, possibly 2 out the door if it was going to happen. And unfortunately, it never happened. Of course, I would love to have come back, but it didn't happen.
Right. So, Ireland World Cup. It's every kid's dream to play in the World Cup.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that like? What was the atmosphere like? The environment like? Is it as good as what it looks on the television? Is it better? Is it just like, well, it's a lot of hullabaloo. We just go to the games and play.
Oh, to be honest, it's absolutely amazing. We actually flew into Tokyo and then flew out to a little island called Saipan. So we had all before the World Cup had started because of what had happened with Rye and Mick. So that was the biggest story of the World Cup. So we're in a small island called Saipan, and oh, did you?
Yeah.
But we're trying to prepare for a World Cup, and unfortunately, the kit never made it, and the grass was all long. So of course, Roy was our captain, our leader, and he wasn't too happy. I think it was kind of. I think I don't think that was Mick's fault, but of course someone should have been out there to make sure that all them facilities were ready for us. Not the kit doesn't make it on the plane. That's out of Mick's control. Of course, it's been brilliant to have Roy there because of the player, the quality of the player that he is, the leader on the pitch. I think we definitely could have gone further, but it was a great opportunity for another player to come in and step in for him.
Who would you say then, in your national team, that stands out and you go, what a player? Pretty much, yeah, the best player that you played with in your national team.
Oh, Roy Keane. Roy Keane, Robbie Keane. On the day, Roy was the leader on the pitch. I remember against Holland, which was to try and get us to qualify for the World Cup. And I remember within the first 2-3 minutes, I know Leeds fans won't be happy on top of Roy Keane, Manchester United, but just putting it aside, he was unbelievable. And he went out and nailed someone within the first 2-3 minutes. And it kind of on the game gets all the lads up, and we went on Holland 1-0. So it was incredible, that game.
So just on that side of it, then you played with him. You got a huge amount of respect for him. What was it like playing under him as a player?
Well, I didn't play too much under Rye, and any games I did, I ended up playing at right back. So one of the worst probably games I played in was a game for Sunderland against Everton. I think we got beat 6-7-1. And you can imagine how vocal he was afterwards. He wasn't too happy. Then Sunderland and Roy went to Ipswich, and I got a phone call 10:30, 11 o'clock late one night asking if I'd be interested in going to Ipswich. It didn't end up happening, but I thought I didn't play more games for Sunderland, but that's what I'm saying. The transition of being a player to becoming a manager is difficult. You cannot please everybody.
Yeah, I think it is. I think to be fair, when he took over, I was there at the time, and I was injured at the time. The team were bottom of the championship after we'd been relegated from the championship. So he actually did an incredible job, from when he took over and then to get us promoted and what have you. But I think,
how did you get on with him? How did you get on with Roy? Sorry, I lost you.
I didn't get on. I think the thing was, you talk a lot nowadays about how you manage people, and I think in the end that's what caught up with him.
Yeah.
Not just at Sunderland, but I think in football in general in his management career. We spoke about it the other day, didn't we? In terms of managers that lead with fear now aren't really that successful. Managers that lead with love you, that likes your Klopp and Guardiola, have a lot more success. So I think, certainly at the time.
That's it, of course, yeah.
So at the time, it was, I was still a young lad at the time as well, and I think a lot of us, like I said, I was coming back from injury as well. I ended up going to Leicester on loan, and by the time I'd come back, the team were doing really, really well. So it's one of these things, but it was just the way I moved on. I didn't really have, we didn't finish on the greatest terms, which, in my opinion, it wasn't through any fault of my own. I just wanted to, going back to what we said before, play football week in, week out, rather than sit there and take money for nothing.
There's but better feeling on a Saturday, waking up with the morning time, having your breakfast, and knowing that you're getting in the car, going to the game, looking forward to playing, isn't it? It's the best feeling ever.
Yeah, exactly. And like you've said there, you would have liked to have played more at Sunderland. People have looked at you, say, "Oh, well, he's earning good money," but I'm pretty sure I'd give away a lot of money to play week in, week out, rather than just sit there and take it. That was my mentality at the time.
That's it. That's why I went to Carlisle. You know what I mean? I didn't have any other options, and I went to Carlisle. I absolutely loved it there. Now, I was on small amounts of money, but it's not about the money. It's about the buzz of getting out and playing. Performance. What level that you're playing at?
Yeah. Best atmosphere then that you've played in
Ellen Road, Deportivo game.
Right.
It was rocking.
Yeah. Well,
brand I've played at, probably say Barcelona or Real Madrid.
What are them stadiums like compared to England? Because I've been Barcelona, but
yeah. Well, to be honest, as you go down onto the pitch, there's a chapel on the right-hand side. So I went and had a prayer in there before I went onto the pitch, but we got stuck 4-0, so it didn't work.
Yeah. Did you say a prayer on the way out?
Yeah. Thank God for peace.
Yeah.
Real Madrid, yeah, incredible stadium as well. It's just, you say, for young lads looking and seeing the Galacticos, whether it was the original Ronaldo, the Raúls, the Roberto Carloses, to play against players like that was, I was very, very fortunate, lucky to do that.
Yeah. Good question here from Daniel Dow. When going through the academy, did you always get told you would make it, or something you knew you had to work hard at? Did you always stand out as a child? I think he's trying to say, through the academy.
No chance. There was much, much better players in the academy than me. But the problem was sometimes with players, they think they're better. And they are.
Yeah.
And for me, no, I never had the qualities that majority of them had. But I know that I had the will, the determination to go out every day to try and be better. That's all you can do, is try and be better every single day. So whether you're doing running, you try and walk your socks off to try and impress, isn't it? You're trying to make it. So, I did.
I mean, I'm huge on, and I know it sounds like a bit of a horrible word, but I'm huge on, you have to go through some sort of suffering as a kid in football.
Yeah.
To really get that mentality. And I think what I've noticed, certainly as I've come into the coaching side of things with younger kids and parents and teams, is that they all want to be part of the best team in the region, or you know, you're not doing your kid any favours there, because
them kids will win every single game, and then the one game, obviously they might push up a different division, and then all of a sudden they get beat and they sulk and they kick off and they cry. It's not the best way, you know what I mean? Of course, you're going to have to appreciate everything, but of course, every player throughout whatever division they're playing in, you're going to get setbacks. It's how you bounce back from them setbacks. Are you going to be better, or are you going to dust it off and think, right, okay, I'm going to work and prove and show that I'm good enough for this level? For instance, players at Leeds United, they might be getting released, but it's not the end of the road for them there. You know what I mean? A time at Leeds United, Robbie Keane, he'd come over and trial when I was there, and I don't know who it was made the decision, but they said he was too small and he wasn't going to be good enough. And then 4 years later, Leeds bought him for £12 million. So I always use that when I'm speaking to young kids. Don't worry, every player gets setbacks. It's how you bounce.
I had Ian Hume on the other night, and Hume, I think he's still trying to grow now. He's that small, but he had a
Very, very good player.
he was a fighter in terms of his size and his stature, and he had to learn that side of it. You know, and he was saying he were never in the best teams in, you know, as a kid. And I think there's this certainly nowadays you have to be, parents, kids, coaches always think they have to be part of the best teams, and you don't learn that way.
No,
you don't learn that way.
No, you appreciate everything you get from setbacks. You know what I mean? It's the disappointments. You know what I mean? It kind of shows with the tougher in the spirit within you to say, right, okay, I'm going to go out. I'm going to prove. I'm going to keep working hard. And if you keep working hard, you will get your rewards. But with young lads nowadays, they feel like they're owed something. The parents are having them on saying, "Oh, my Tommy's not getting an opportunity." Well, you go back to base, you think, well, is Tommy not doing enough on the pitch every single day? That's probably why he's not Saturday. So you go back to basics, you think, right, well, you need to start working harder.
Yeah. Here's a good question. What's it like when a club brings a player in your position? Does it push you on more?
Yeah, they brought in Raul Bravo from Real Madrid, and yeah, of course, he was a great lad. Really, really likeable within the dressing room. Of course, it drives you on competition. You want to stay in that team, so you have to work every single day to try and stay in the team. And yeah, I think it's always good to have good competition.
Great. So going back to the academy side of it, John Rowles asked the question here: is 5-year-old too young to be training at an academy?
1,000,000%. Yeah, my son, he's 8 years old, and he's in like a little kind of football setup we live up around, near Middlesbrough area, but yeah, there's loads of young lads that are there, and I mean, top talented players that could be in academies at Man City, but parents say, "Oh, what do you reckon? Sunderland have come in, Newcastle have come in." I say no. I say it's way too young for them, because as soon as they go in, not allowed to play with the mates at school or whatever, they all of a sudden the tricks that they might try in them games, they say, no, don't do that. It's all about pass and possession. I think it's way too. I think you're probably looking at around about, if being realistic, probably around about 13, 14 when you should have me, I must be honest.
Themselves as a player, don't they?
Yeah, of course. You know what I mean? There's so much pressure on young kids, and then when they do get the setback, most of the academies, they won't even tell the kids, sorry, we're not going to keep your son on. You get an email. So, you know what I mean? It's cutthroat. It's a brilliant environment to want to have a successful career, but many a player won't. And, you know, it's ruthless. It's just making them realize that, you know, there's a lot of hard work between now and then for them to be successful football.
It's been fantastic. All I want to leave it on is we've got a question from Lloyd, man. What was your favourite free kick you scored?
Well, I'm probably saying the Deportivo one. Scored many a top free kicks, but I used to love scoring against David Seaman as well at Highbury, but definitely that one at Deportivo, probably because it was the quarterfinals of the Champions League as well, and how much the city, the fans, it was an incredible night. Yeah.
Really enjoyed that, Harte. Appreciate it, mate. And you know, I think everyone's had a great insight there. I'm a big believer in you know, you need to get as much information as parents, as kids, and use it as much as you can. And what I've tried to do in this time for the kids and the parents that are listening with Forza Academy is give them an insight into the pro game. So, you know, I really, really appreciate your time and coming on.
No problem at all. Yeah, for kids, I would advise be like sponges. Listen, take it all in, and try and listen and learn. That's the best advice you give.
I love it. Any message to the Leeds fans then, just to finish it off?
Yeah, I love my time at Leeds United. I love going down there watching. Please, God, when football does go back, if it does come back, you know, they've been by far, them and West Brom, but Leeds have been by far the best footballing team in the Championship. I think we all want them back in the Premier League. Hopefully, EFL, Premier League can resolve it as soon as possible. We all know where they stand.
A Karol Poborski lookalike on Monday in Luke Ayling coming on. So I'll tell him you called him Carol Poborski. No, I'm joking.
No.
But yeah, listen, mate, really appreciate your time. You've been fantastic. And, I'll touch base with you soon. And thanks a lot again.